Hi, this is Sam. Today I'm joined by Karen Marie Capon. Karen Marie is currently the Chief Supply Chain Officer with AkzoNobel and has held senior leadership positions previously with DuPont and Arla Foods. Karen Marie, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sam, and my pleasure to be here today.
First things first, could you just give everyone an introduction to yourself and tell everyone a bit about your career journey?
No, absolutely. So I came to my current company, AkzoNobel, in 2021, and I'm the Chief Integrated Supply Chain Officer for AkzoNobel and also member of our executive committee. And in that role, I'm looking after our global manufacturing. We have more than 130 sites on a global basis. We are also having lots of distribution activities, logistics, warehousing, so also looking after that area. Also our planning activities, and then also we have a global quality function, and then also our HSE&S, and also all our capital investments. So that's really what I look after on a daily basis. And it's an organization of around 15,000 individuals in all kind of different parts of the world. So true global and really an exciting area to look after for sure. And then prior to having worked for AkzoNobel, as you were saying in the introduction, then I've had the pleasure of working for a number of different companies, different industries as well, and also different ownership. I mean, it's been listed companies, it's been privately owned companies, it's also been cooperative, and very different industries, varying from first role with Lego, so in construction toys, having worked in food ingredients, pharma excipients, also animal nutrition, paint coatings, etc., etc. So that combination has been absolutely amazing. So great journey so far.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the introduction. Could you tell me, throughout your career, what do you feel was some of the most important advice that was given to you by mentors throughout your career?
I have had the pleasure of having had many great bosses over the years, over my career, and also really very helpful coaching. Both internal coaching, I mean, in the company where I was working, but also external coaching, and I highly recommend to do both. As a matter of fact, I've had many different advices. I found myself a number of times standing at a bit of a crossroad where decisions should be made. Hey, should I go to the left? Should I go to the right? And I think one of the first times that I actually came across that was even after I graduated, quite many years ago. Meanwhile, where I had actually two job offers, and one of them was with a Danish engineering company because I'm Danish of origin. And that was really to go in and help with, being based out of Berlin, and I have an engineering background. So it was really to help rebuild East Berlin, if you wish, being based out of Berlin. And the other one was to come into procurement working for Lego. So it was two very different roles, different locations, one in Denmark, one in Germany, and I was really very much back and forth with myself about should I go to one or to the other. But after quite some processing, then I took the decision to go to Lego, which I never really regretted afterwards. And the time in procurement was very insightful, and also came a lot then into manufacturing, broader supply chain, etc. So that was really that was super. And then later on, I think the second time that I would say I really stood, let's say, in a bit of a similar position when I was working for Arla Foods, where Arla Foods, back then, they were running a leadership assessment with I think it was top 30 leaders. And we went through quite some assessment, lots of questionnaires, lots of interviewing with an external company. And then afterwards, we were put it into like a 2x2 matrix. And I then got into the matrix where good opportunities, try to push things forward, and then I was really put into a situation where based on the feedback provided, should I stay in procurement, which was the area I was really working in at that point in time, or should I go more broader into supply chain and also more global? So that was really the feedback I got from that external company. And I was just like, I could for sure envisage a journey continuing in procurement. I could for sure also seeing myself going more broadly into supply chain, which was, let's call it, more unknown territory for me back then. So it would be like, throwing myself more into deep water, whereas procurement, yeah, I'm sure I could excel there. Obviously, I was the CPO for Arla Foods back then, but could also have gone and do something similar in other companies and more on a global basis. But that choice back then was made, go more broad into supply chain. And as I look back, I mean, that was absolutely a fantastic decision to have gone more broadly into supply chain. So for sure, not a regret move situation at all. And I think, again, many will come across similar situations where you're standing, at least as I expressed it, at a crossroad, and you really have to make up your mind. Sometimes you go into what is more certain, known territory. Sometimes you go into the opposite. But at least I've had good advice, good support. I also had a boss once when I was working for DuPont, an American, and he called me a day out of the blue, saying, look, I'm going to give you a coach. And I remember I had only been in the role and having had him as a boss for, I think, 2 or 3 months. And I was sitting in Copenhagen, where I was based back then, thinking, why on earth is he calling me to give me a coach? Am I really doing that badly or that poorly? So I kind of expressed that to him. And he was just like, laughing and saying to me, no, you misunderstand. That's really positive. We will only do that with the selected few. No, take it as a positive. And I was kind of sitting there, okay, it must be pretty bad since I need an external coach. So again, sometimes, be open-minded. So I've had great opportunities, both internally with coaching and mentoring, and also externally for sure.
No, fantastic. And yeah, I think some people, when they hear that someone wants them to get coaching, they can take that the wrong way.
Yeah, I did.
Generally speaking, it's because there's potential. And yeah, I think I hear that from a few people. I'm curious. You discuss having stepped from the chief procurement officer role into a broader supply chain role, and obviously now working your way through to the chief integrated supply chain officer role.
Yeah.
How do you credit that procurement background and working in procurement for the earlier part of your career? And how have you felt that gave you the foundation to then move into the broader supply chain arena?
Yeah, no, very good question. So I was studying engineering for 5 years and learned lots of technical skills, math, science, all kind of different skills, obviously. And there was also a commercial component to the engineering degree that I went through. Plus, also I was spending some time abroad for part of let's say the trainee period that was built into that engineering program. And as I went through that program, I really learned a lot about, let's say, the technical capabilities building, but also commercial skills, marketing, etc., because it was really a combined engineering degree. And what I found missing in that study was, in order to be able to, put a certain cost to a price or service you wish to ultimately go and sell, then I was really missing and curious about what kind of raw materials would go into a given product or service? What would be the cost? How do you make sure you cost it in a correct manner? What about underlying raw materials? I mean, is it more commodity raw materials? What about the packaging? What about the transportation, from a manufacturing site, as an example, all the way through to the market, whether it's business to business or more into consumers. So I was really missing that part. I was very curious about it. And understanding those underlying elements. And actually, as a deliberate choice, as I then graduated, then I actually decided to go into procurement. And for me, it opened up a fascinating world, really understand all those underlying mechanisms, the importance of also dealing with suppliers, with vendors. And again, I still see in many cases that connection is really being underestimated, because I see many suppliers being super critical for your end-to-end way of working, and then ultimately also, of course, customers on one side, suppliers on the other side. But really, the importance of strengthening the link to both areas. So it was a very deliberate and conscious choice. And then I worked in different areas during the years for different companies, different industries in procurement, and then again also got back then already really lots of exposure into manufacturing, into logistics, because raw material, packaging, services has to come your way, but ultimately you also have to process that in manufacturing space. If there are quality problems with some of the procured material, etc. So yeah, also testing new raw materials. So I was spending quite some time in let's say that manufacturing space, which I really enjoyed already back then. Quality, I mean, that's also very much part of when you're procuring products, you're doing back then at least incoming inspection or process control, etc. So it was actually a natural sphere for me to operate in. And then later on, really what happened was when I then came to join Danisco, there I was given a unique opportunity because I really came with a procurement background, the engineering background, as I shared with you, and then I really got the opportunity to go into a company and then really build a supply chain organization. So I was going to lots of reports, lots of interviews with people working in supply chain, in customer service, in planning, in logistics, etc. And then got the opportunity to build an internal organization, really lifting and shifting a number of colleagues, but then really forming a supply chain organization for Danisco. And then a couple of years down the road, then Danisco got acquired by DuPont. And then that's where I got into, again, a fantastic area of really very broadly into supply chain with manufacturing, with supply chain, with capital management, healthy, safety, and environment. So that was really my route into supply chain. And again, by the way, you can come into supply chain in many different ways, but this is the way I came into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard someone describe procurement to me. I was talking with someone the other day and they said it's like doing an MBA, except you get paid for it as you go. And the amount of different stakeholders, the amount of different things that you learn, the commercial stakeholders you're having to work with, both internally and then on the supplier side, it can give a very broad foundation that I think can then enable people to move at that senior level to then really enable top chief supply chain officers. But no, it's a really interesting perspective to get. And it's not that common of a move. It surprises me that more people don't necessarily take that move through their career. I think people can become quite segmented into procurement and remain in the procurement sphere.
And again, nothing wrong or bad about that in my optic, because I could also have done that for sure. But I think it's also up to yourself, obviously. Yes, I got on a steep learning curve. I was spending quite some time with different consultancy companies, conferences, literature, all kind of articles, really trying to prepare myself for the new nomenclature, the new vocabulary, and then, of course, spending time going out into sites, working side by side with plant managers or, shift supervisors, etc. You really have to prepare yourself to rehearse. Because otherwise, and again, nothing bad or wrong about that, but if you don't go outside the functional area where you're mostly known, then it's difficult to break out of that. And it also requires that you are being spotted, you are being seen by somebody that is also willing to give you the opportunity. Because reality is also when I interviewed for the role with Danisco back then, there were clearly others also interviewing that were much more savvy, much more experienced into end-to-end supply chain than what I was. But I could bring the commercial part as well, really that end-to-end understanding, the procurement part, the stakeholder management. So there were many different elements, and it's rare, I would say, that you really have, you can tick all the boxes, in all honesty, that this is the one and only perfect candidate. There's always something you have to pick up.
No, absolutely. Supply chain is transforming. There's a lot of supply chain transformation going on at the moment. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of new technologies coming to market, and the skill sets within that are changing very fast. I think faster than most people are able to learn in some instances. For the supply chain leaders of the future, the ones that will be chief supply chain officers in the next 10, 15, 20 years, what do you think are the skill sets they should be focusing on learning today to enable them to reach that level?
We are one of the companies very much in the middle of industrial transformation journey, industrial excellence as we call it, and that's really all about looking into our current footprint of manufacturing sites. It's also how we route to market, but very much taking a market backward perspective, meaning from a customer perspective. We are trying to get end-to-end archetypes into our way of working and really lots of more automation that we are investing in as part of our 3-year journey here, and also digitalization. And I think what is critical as I look into to future generation is really have that end-to-end understanding. You don't need to be an expert into each and every area. You don't need to be a profit and loss expert, but you need, as a supply chain leader, at least to have a very good understanding of how does it all fit together, how does it all work. And then I would also highly recommend, many comes with great backgrounds, by the way, but really get into the digitalization, whether it's in advanced planning transformation as we are working through, try also to see where is artificial intelligence possible, but also look into, how are we operating? Can you add some sensors to some of your lines where you will get, really ideally and ultimately data points out so that your operators, they really, would stand with the real life online data in front of them, instead of as where many companies come from, being in more traditional control rooms. Then at least now you can be outside, in the different process areas and get information straight ahead. Also, instead of having, sampling at the lines in a more analog fashion, getting it tested in the labs, then again, you can get lots of parameter, whether it's viscosity or whatever, you can get a lot of data point. So with the future individuals, no matter which educational background you come with, I highly encourage that you test out different industries, different companies, ideally also get outside your own country, whether it's far away or not so far away, but really depending on if you want to go into true global and like a chief integrated supply chain officer role as I'm in myself, then at least you need to be prepared to have those different building blocks and then begin building how to best position yourself for the future, because reality is there's typically always somebody else out there as well that you will be competing with. So not necessarily always go with mainstream, but try to find the building blocks that would kind of differentiate yourself as well also from others. And then again, build the best possible teams, and again have the right situational based leadership style and approach, and again really good engagement and motivation and empowerment with the teams. That will help a lot from a career perspective. So the leadership part, but also having the depth, in-depth understanding of some of the functional areas, at least in my view.
Yeah, I think it's a really great answer, and yeah, it's something where being able to work with people both up and down the chain, being able to speak with everyone and speak the right language with everyone is very valuable, and sometimes hard to get, particularly earlier in the career. But yeah. Really great advice. In terms of advice, what advice would you give to someone who is maybe a VP, an SVP of supply chain, who is aiming to reach that top role of the board? What would be your top advice for someone in those positions at a senior level to achieve that?
So I think that there's a number of different things that I would actually advise. One is I have, next to my C-level roles and also before picking up C-level roles, also had board work during many years meanwhile. And I really encourage some of my other supply chain colleagues to also be mindful about what that can bring you, because it brings an additional building block or an additional dimension. And what do I mean with that? What I mean is really, in my current role, I'll also be in front of our supervisory board as part of the executive committee. And it has really, truly helped me a lot to also be part of a board with obviously non-competing different industry companies, again, because you don't want to get into that situation. But then I understand a whole lot more about how do the dynamics work between the executive committee, board of management, and a board or a supervisory board. So it really also helps me in my day job a lot, having done that over the years. So that'll be one thing. Don't go completely crazy and try to, do 10 different boards next to your day job, because you have to be very clear and mindful of your priorities. That is also a very clear advice. But at least that's one thing I would encourage them to do. The second thing I would also encourage them to do is really become business savvy. Make sure that you really understand the, let's say, go-to-market part, the customer part, interact, engage with customers, understand what kind of feedback that they are providing, but also having the good, strong link also on the vendor side, and then everything in between that then may typically be what you're looking after in the role. And then also understand, how does the P&L work? Understand, what is really important, and that's why I was mentioning archetypes before as an example. What is critical? Is it the agility, the speed to market? Is it, innovating new products that is most critical? Is it the cost per liter or per kilogram? Is it, the quality, whatever? Really understand that. And again, the better you have that holistic perspective, a bit the bridge builder almost, I would call, the better you would also position yourself as part of an executive team or senior leadership role going forward. So that would at least be a couple of things I would say. And then again, try to prepare yourself, not necessarily having a very stringent career plan, but at least be mindful of, we all carry a bit of a backpack. So what is it you see missing? Check in with your colleagues, check in with peers, check in with your bosses, obviously. What is missing? What does it take for you to make that next step? And then begin, preparing and planning yourself accordingly. And if you then find that you have, let's call it, hit the ceiling, and one day simply take the next, and you're just like, okay, man, this is never going to materialize. Yeah, guess what? Then you either have to come to terms with saying, okay, I'm satisfied with where I am, and that's what I'm going to do. Or you have to be your own career boss and then figure out, no, this is not happening. I'm going to check out and go somewhere else where they would, open up and welcome me. So you really have to manage your own career. That is also one of the advices I would clearly give.
Really good advice, and one that, yeah, as a headhunter, you obviously deal with a little bit more often than most, but speaking with people and really trying to unpack, is it better to stay internal and try and get that move there, or is it the right time to move across? Do you have the right foundations? Can you get those foundations somewhere else? It's a conversation we have a lot. So yeah, really, really insightful advice. And then on the other side of that, what advice would you give to someone who is maybe a year, 2 years into their supply chain career? They've just left university. They have the ambition to reach that level in the future, but they're very early on. What would your top advice for someone in that position be?
Fortunately, we have a global engineering trainee program. We call it a GET program, where we have new graduates, and we then offer them a 2 years period where they work on different assignments. We have had that for some time on the manufacturing side, and now also more recently we have also introduced it for supply chain. So actually, as I get around visiting our manufacturing sites or distribution centers or planning hubs, then I always also take the time to really meet up with our global engineering trainees, because it's a fantastic fresh perspective. They don't necessarily have the same filter as ones we have been around for a longer time period. So, they ask pretty straightforward questions, which is just like, that's really amazing. And also sometimes I'm just like, that question I'd really never had before, that I've not expected, etc. So fantastic perspective. So I do actually have the opportunity to interact a lot with our global engineering trainees, and they are also always, without exception, also asking about career advice. And what I'm saying to them is obvious. You come with a fantastic educational background. you now have a great opportunity, in my view, because I know it can be super difficult to get that first job out there after you have graduated. So again, really learn whatever you can, make your mark, take the best out of that time period, and then also get exposed to different parts of an organization. We also actually end up offering roles, more permanent roles, to lots of our global engineering trainees. And career advice, what I'm saying to them in addition to that is also, it's not necessarily like, you only climb the ladder. Sometimes you maybe take one step and more a lateral move, and then begin preparing yourself for then, okay, now I want to take the next move. So again, also be mindful of that it can also be happening in different ways. But fantastic educational background, getting the first hands-on experience, out in real life. And then really excel from there on. And again, I'm giving same advice as I was saying before. Try to get out of your daily context one way or the other, whether you work again in a different country, or whether you try to work in a different functional area or in a different industry. And again, we also fortunately have a number of colleagues that are also then coming back at some point in time. So that would be some of the main advices I would give. And don't be shy sometimes to change from one area to another. Some would be going into procurement, stay there forever after, which is fine. Some would be like going into manufacturing, staying there forever after, and some would be more going across. We have a combined manufacturing and supply chain set up, so it's more end-to-end, and I know not too many companies have that yet. I think personally that will probably change going forward. Again, coming back to your question before, if you are part of an executive committee or senior leadership team, you need to have that end-to-end understanding for sure. So that would be some of the advice I would give.
Brilliant. No, look, thank you so much. Some really, really great advice within there, and really, really valuable conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Sam, and also wishing you a good rest of the day.
And yourself. Thank you.
Alrighty, thanks.